Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dave Body on behalf of Bodyguards United presents the Autopsy with Victoria Lee Williams. How are you doing today, Victoria?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It took us a little while to get started there, but that's completely understandable as you spoke that you aren't too familiar with technology as much as some of us, I guess, are. So thank you for your patience, but we got you going. How's your day going so far today?
Pretty good. And yours?
Fantastic. It is raining and miserable outside, but hey, put a rain jacket on, go have fun. But we're gonna stay inside doing an interview instead. So I got you on the autopsy because you and I have been talking quite often lately, and I can't recall where I met you. I don't know if that's my ADD or my concussion syndrome, but I really forget where we met. Do you remember how we met?
Yes, we met when I was co-hosting a radio show. I'm Bully Survival Radio
That is yes, with Alicia
with
Wilson.
Alicia
That's
Wilson.
correct. And then you heard my story and what I was doing and with
Right.
Bodyguard United, and then I became a little familiar with what you're doing, and I'm pretty impressed and excited to learn more about it. But for right now, I want to focus on how you got to where you are today, what you went through, and what struggles that you faced, and how you dealt with them, if you don't mind.
That's okay. I'll tell you what I'm able to tell you. Some things I'm not able to talk about, but I'll give you a brief background. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of your show. I fully support what you're doing for young people and guiding them in ways in coping with bullying and how to survive. Um, I think basically probably every single human being has been bullied at one time in their life and maybe even have been a bully. If we all have siblings and we've thrown crickets at them or whatnot, that's a form of bullying too. Um, my when I was younger, very, very young, I was about 4 years old. I didn't even really know how to read. I My mother worked with me to memorize books of passages in the Bible. And that was my first acting experience was I would recite these books of Bibles in front of the whole congregation. I was so tiny, they would have to put two orange crates, stack them up behind the pulpit. And I would stand there and recite them. I liked doing it. I liked the storytelling aspect of it, and I liked the prize. The prize would be they would take me out to a place for dinner, and I could choose anything I wanted, and I could have how much I wanted or how little. And then I got a little medal for it. And as I grew up more, I was exposed to different forms of theater and through school, grade school. Then my father re-enlisted in the Army, and we moved about. And what helped me deal with my awkward teenage years, and I use the term loosely awkward because I was a freaking dork. I had a third set of teeth. My teeth stuck way out. I couldn't even close my lips. I was skinny, scrawny. I hadn't, I didn't, I hadn't developed like most teenage girls yet. I, um, I was just a dork. And what helped me deal with that, because when you're in the military too, you move around a lot. And I went to 3 different high schools in 3 different states. But theater helped me, theater in high school. And also marching band. I was in the percussion section. So those two things helped me feel like I was part of a community where if I didn't have that, I would have felt completely left out because I was ridiculed in school for the way I looked. I was ridiculed because I was so petite. I was told I would never amount to anything because I was small. And it just there's something about the arts that really help you escape to a place where it's safe to be. It's safe to be emotionally, and it's safe to be um, in your mind. You're accepted for everything, and that was my saving grace. Was being in marching band and in theater. And when my father was deployed the first time to Vietnam, he was stationed at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and I went to high school at Sierra Vista. That was a pivotal turning point, not only because the theater department was brilliant, and the band was brilliant, but also because I got to spend 2 years there, so I got to make connections with friends, and I became more confident in myself. A wonderful young man in the band gave me courage to accept myself as I was, the way I looked, the way I, presented myself. He taught me that beauty came from within, and he's a famous composer now. So that really helped me. I also got to work with wonderful actors, but one in particular, a friend of mine, Janice St. John. She has gone on and worked with Gary Sinise and Laurie Metcalf in Chicago. So that's the quality of the talent in that particular high school.
Oh, wow.
And then my senior year of high school, my dad was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. The drama department there was not good at that time at the high school that I went to, but the band was great. We won all kinds of awards. So what I did then is I started looking for theater work. I auditioned for shows on the base, a couple of musicals I was in, I believe Sound of Music in Oklahoma, I think. That's where I was in Oklahoma. And then I also applied for work as a seasonal entertainer at a shopping mall. So I started to get paid for acting. Then after a couple of years, I left home and I moved to Connecticut to stay with my father's sister, and I started doing more, working with equity companies and such. I wasn't an equity actor, but I was getting some really good hardcore work and training, and I also became involved with 2 different radio stations by volunteering with them and helping out with them, so I started learning about the music aspect.
Okay.
Music. I moved back to California in the early 80s, and I about midway through the early 80s, I started thinking I should take this theater thing seriously and start getting formal education in it. There's a thing going around Facebook right now that says TV gets you money. Working on television makes you rich. Working in films makes you famous. But working on stage in theater makes you smart. And I decided I wanted to get some degrees in theater. I wanted to get that training. It's kind of like the stage work is the boot camp for acting. You really learn your discipline, your structure, your format, and you learn how to work it. I'm not saying you can't be an actor without having that training, but what I'm saying is it shows the training. You have a richer embellishment of the character when you've started on stage. You've studied the scripts, you've studied Chekhov and Shakespeare and Ibsen and things like that. You really get into it and work it so it can carry through in other areas of your life as well. So I started doing that, and then I had a brief break because my sister's husband was in the military, and he was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, and he had to go out in the field. She had twins and a little boy, and she needed help. So I went to Kansas to help her out for 6 months, and I auditioned while I was there, ended up getting cast in a professional touring company, and I stayed a little bit longer than I had planned. When I came back to California, I enrolled in school, full-time theater school. And some of the graduates from the first school I went to are Robin Williams, Kathleen Quinlan, David Dukes, David Ogden Stiers, Dakin Matthews, Wendy Roby, people of that stature.
Oh, that's intense.
Going to a really good school. And then something happened along the way. I fell in love with the wrong person. And the right thing that came out of it was my daughter. But what happened was the situation became pretty nasty, and I had to raise her on my own. So I had to be basically an unwed mother. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle in every way imaginable. both financially and emotionally, and dealing with the status that goes along with that, with people's attitudes, with people's judgment calls and things like that. And it was a really big struggle, but I did have friends who helped me out, and I did have the theater. I tell you, there's nothing like living in the world of make-believe that can help you deal with reality when you really need it. And I think that's what saved me, was just continuing in school, continuing to get my education, and to continuing to work. My daughter came early. In fact, my labor started opening night, Cinderella. I was at the theater. I just got there. And it went all weekend long. They thought it was going to be false labor because she was 2 months early, and then she was born Monday morning. And there was a lot of stress in my life, which probably led to that. Particularly the whole month before, I didn't have anywhere to live, so I was sleeping on people's couches, and I was sleeping at the theater. So that probably had a lot to do with it too. But after she was born, she had to stay in the incubator 10 days, and a couple of profound things happened. The first thing was when they sent her home from the hospital. She was 10 days old. She got to come home Christmas Eve day. And I had just moved into this house that was a transitional house because they were trying to get me a home.
Okay.
And it wasn't going to be a permanent place. It wasn't a good, safe place for a mother with a child to live, because it was a place where they had people that kept getting arrested, people that kept trying to kill themselves, people who needed somebody to help them live life and be guided. But I had my own bedroom. The door was locked. I had my own bathroom, and there was locks on the food cupboards and such. And it was shelter. You know, I didn't have to live out of a suitcase, sleeping on people's sofas. Well, I had met a girl living there who had the bedroom next to mine, and she had continually tried to kill herself. She was a cutter. And when I brought Hannah home from the hospital Christmas Eve morning, I brought her into my room, and there was a knock on my door, and it was this woman. And she said to me, she said, somebody had called the Salvation Army and said there was a new mom here, and they had a Christmas tree to deliver. Did I want them to bring it in my bedroom? And so I said, well, why don't we just put it in the common room, and then everybody can enjoy it? Because at that point, I'd completely forgotten about Christmas. I knew Christmas was coming, but I didn't want to deal with it. I had a tiny baby, and I just wasn't focusing on the holidays. So I asked her to thank them for me, and I thanked her for relaying the message. And I went back, I closed my door and went back to taking care of the baby. Well, about 20 or 30 minutes later, there was another knock on my door, and I opened the door, and she's standing there, and she was smiling, and I'd never seen her smile before. She was holding a piece of red ribbon that was dingy. It was about this big. And she goes, I went downstairs in the trash. I was poking through the trash, and I found this red ribbon, and I cut it up, and I decorated the tree. Come look. So I got the baby, and I went out in the living room, and I looked at the tree. And she had tied a bow at the end of every branch of the Christmas tree. So there was this Christmas tree with red bows on it. And she's looking at me, and I said to her, I said, I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. And it was at that moment that I knew that I would get help. I would get help from strangers, that people were going to be good about this, and that I was going to survive. I knew that. I knew that we were going to get through everything. So every year we have a Christmas tree, and I remember that. I mean, most people do have Christmas trees, but it was kind of like a tree of hope, because people that didn't even know me and know Hannah helped out. They reached out to the Salvation Army. They reached out, to the delivery people that delivered it. So I'm not saying things were easy. They weren't. Sometimes it would get to the point where at the end of the day I would just think, well, I made it through this day, I'll make it through another day. But in life, the hardest thing to do is to ask somebody for help, particularly when you're down and out, whether you're living on the street, whether you're suffering from PTSD, whether you're financially strapped, whatever. It's the hardest thing is to say to somebody, can you help me? But what I've learned is that when you allow people to help you, 9 times out of 10, you're doing more good for them than for yourself, because they're at a point in their life where they need to help somebody. They need that satisfaction. They need to give. So by allowing somebody to help you, you're really helping the other person. So I continued my education. I got 2 degrees in theater. I graduated with honors. My daughter went to school and graduated. And she also was an Irish dancer, and she obtained a medal at the Worlds in Glasgow, Scotland. So we weren't destitute for failure. You know, I think we succeeded. And despite all the disparaging remarks from people around me that said we weren't going to amount to anything and that my daughter was going to be an adult in poverty too, she's not. She has a very good job with the bank. She's doing very well. And I'm glad I didn't listen to the naysayers, and I'm glad I stayed in theater, because that helped me in so many ways. I just finished a film about a homeless woman who was bullied, and I know that what I went through was underneath everything that I did on that film. Even though I wasn't thinking about it, I know it was there because it was inside me, and it came out. So that was my second dealings with, you know, people who were not so positive about my life and what I was going through, and people who passed judgment, and people who were telling me that I wasn't going to make it. Now I'm going through my third fight with the bully. This time the bully is cancer. I have cancer in the skin on my face, and I'm going to beat it because I just am. That's all there is to it. But I think that being able to survive being picked on as a kid and struggling financially, not knowing where the next meal was going to come from as a young mother raising a child alone, I think I'll be able to handle this okay. It's frustrating because right now film stuff is on hold because we don't know how much more surgery I'm going to need. And I'm having a bit of a financial problem. Some of the chemo treatments that I need are not covered under my generous health care system in America. But I can beat it. If you, God forbid, if you have to have a cancer, have skin cancer, because you can beat it. No. What helps me not be bummed out and depressed all the time is the fact that I was raised in the military. I was taught to help others. When I grew up, we always had soldiers in the home. Every holiday, every Sunday, we were always doing things to serve the military families. And now I'm continuing that in my life. And now I also have a little therapy kitten. She visits with veterans. Tennessee.
Tennessee. I've been wanting to see her.
Can you see this?
I sure can.
Okay, a plea went out on Facebook last July 5th. No, two years ago, on the 2012, July 5th. A plea went out for an emergency neonate bottle feeder. A neonate is a brand new kitten, a week old or less. So I said I could do it because I wasn't working on a film. I knew I wasn't going to get any sleep, but I knew my time was open. I met the organization at the local veterinarian's office right down the street, and I saw this tiny little blob. I mean, her umbilical cord was still exposed. And they said, explained to me how to care for her, everything I needed to do. They gave me the scale to weigh her daily. They gave me all the supplies. And then when I left, they said, you know, if she doesn't make it through the night, don't be upset because we don't know why the mother abandoned her in the field. We don't. There is something wrong. We've had to give her fluids twice. We don't know what's going on. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, why are you giving her to me if you expect her to die? But I didn't say anything out loud. What I did say was, can I take her to a priest and have her blessed? And can she go with me when I visit with veterans? And they said yes to both things. Well, she's going to be 2 years old. She's been up and down California twice now, to different veterans' homes, to hospitals, to a center in Temecula, to a center in West Los Angeles, a big, huge hospital in West Los Angeles, and all over the Bay Area. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people she's seen, children, veterans, seniors, kids whose parents have passed away. So Alicia wrote this book with me about her survival and about the people that she visits with. And I told Alicia, I said, I need this to be a labor of love, and I need us to make sure that every child who's lost a parent in battle since 9/11 gets a copy of this book through Snowball Express. And she said, oh, yes, let's do that. So we're not making any money on this. Even when you buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, the royalties go into the donation account. She even found a woman at her church to format the photos for it because it's all filled with the photos of her with veterans. This dude was in World War II, 5 times deployed.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, Snowball Express is a wonderful organization, and so we only need about 1,700 families to donate to buy a book for each one of these children before November 1st so that we can get them mass-produced and mass-shipped to Dallas for Snowball Express mid-December. We don't want to have to pay a huge amount in shipping and handling. That's why we're kind of making the cutoff be November 1st.
Okay.
But this project, Going Places with Tennessee, she's sleeping right now. Maybe I'll get my daughter to hand her to me so you can see her on camera. This project, though, doing this, it's all volunteer, but it just really takes my mind off the fact that I'm struggling now with cancer. And I have to deal with the cancer, and I have to deal with finding the money to pay for the chemo and stuff like that. It takes me to a different place, personally, but also it helps so many others. She's able to sense what a veteran needs, whether he just needs a cat in the lap, whether he needs a headbutt, a purr, or whether he just needs to talk to her. And it's the same thing with children, too. She went to a local preschool. There was over 170 children, so we had to go over several days. And some of the children were shy, and they stayed back in the corner. And the teacher said, these children never come out. We're working with them. Well, by the end of the 20-minute time sitting there in circle, they were out holding her and touching her. So she's able to sense what everybody needs and bring people to her. So I feel like she was put into my life. That's more of a blessing for me than it is even for the people that I'm sharing her with.
I can understand how that is therapeutic in a way, because they always say that when you have high blood pressure or you're stressed and you pet a dog or you pet a cat, you immediately relax.
Exactly.
And that's why when I get home and I had a stressful day at promoting or trying to find acting gigs, I'm like stressed out. I come and I pet my dogs, and it's like immediately I'm just relaxed. And so like it makes complete sense how Tennessee is actually achieving with helping others. And I'm surprised I never heard of that until I heard about your story. And I was a little confused at first though when you said, "Can I bring Tennessee or talk about Tennessee?" And I was like, okay. I thought you were talking about a location, so I was like, okay, how is this going to fit in? But now, after I researched it and I looked into it, I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, and I understand that a lot of people will probably be able to personally attach themselves to it because we all love pets and animals and so forth. Do you have any upcoming appearances with Tennessee in the next like couple weeks, or?
Well, we try to visit people several times a week. Sometimes they'll call us and they say they need us. Like one time a minister called me and we went to visit with her mom, and it ended up being a goodbye visit for the woman, helping her to cross over. I didn't know it ahead of time, and I don't need to know the details. The cat will know what to do when I put her in the lap of somebody. But we don't have any major things planned right now. I do expect to get a couple calls for us to go to children's camps this summer, and I'm trying to get the funds together to go back down to LA. But there is a center here she visits with regularly. There used to be a Navy widow there, and she had Parkinson's. And when she would start the trimmer, Tennessee would lay on her arm that was trimmering and start purring, and it would make the trimmer stop. So I know it's mind-boggling. I think part of it is she's an animal, and animals do have that instinct to help humans. But the other part is she was raised from the tiny little blob that she was when they found her. She was raised with strangers holding her and feeding her and loving her, people loving her and talking to her and encouraging her to survive. And I think that's what she's doing now, is giving that back. This is a picture of her next to a car key. That was the first day I saw her.
Whoa, wow,
yeah.
That's impactful.
Yeah, it just, and this is her in my daughter's hand, right here. My daughter's bottle feeding her.
Oh, wow.
So she was a tiny little thing. And for a long time we didn't know if she would have some kind of condition or illness, because the mom did abandon her in a field. She took all the other kittens and left Tennessee. But I think it was because she was supposed to be doing what she's doing. That's what I think. She was supposed to come into my life and be doing what she's doing with me.
It does. I'm not going to be an individual to say that I don't believe in this, because I strongly believe in positive energy. And are you grabbing her?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, wow, she's huge.
You want to say hi? Want to say hi? Can you see? Can you say hi? Say kitty, kitty, kitty.
Kitty, kitty, kitty. Hey, Tennessee. She's cute.
She has a little heart-shaped spot under her chin, right here. I don't know. Let me see. Let me lift her up. Right here. See?
Oh,
and
wow.
The children. She likes to have the children kiss it, like that. Yeah, that was so weird. God made a little heart spot under her chin for love. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't believe in coincidences, though. I think things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. There's just too much organization in the universe to make us think that everything's completely random and disorganized. You know, it's just like everyday life. You'll meet somebody and they'll know somebody you know. And then you'll go, wow, that's really cool. That's supposed to happen. Well, I was supposed to be on the computer the day the plea went out for her. I was supposed to be on at that moment in time. I was supposed to take her, and I was supposed to continue doing what I was doing with her and bringing her into it. Initially, I wasn't going to keep her. I was just fostering her to find her a forever home. But a personal friend of Gary Sinise, who I knew, this man rescues dogs and does a lot of retraining with dogs, both psychologically for the dog and the human. He told me, he said, Victoria, you're supposed to keep Tennessee, and you're supposed to do the therapy that you're doing with her. And he told me that for about a month and a half before I finally realized he was right. So
it's strange how the world works. Like I used to be disbelieved. I used to be bitter and negative, and I don't know if that was due to my depression and my suicide with my head injuries. However, it was very difficult for me to find the positive. But then all of a sudden I started going through transitions. I suffered my 15th concussion, went through brain injury rehab for 8 months, and I started opening up my life to the reality of once you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. So I started realizing positive mindset completely set me free, and upon research investigation, I found out that 80% of illnesses can be avoided and cured from just being positive and helping people. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the firm saying of it's best to heal yourself when you help someone else heal with you. So that's in essence is why Bodyguards and I had started. When I was going through all my depression, my suicide, I wanted to reach out and help others. And in essence of doing so, it allowed me to help myself greatly. And it's just very humbling and very benefiting to see that you're healing while helping someone else heal. And in retrospect, that's what really matters in the world is we all just unite, protect, and inspire one another. And that's truthfully where Bodyguard started from, was just from my negatives, and I want to transition my negatives to help someone create their positives and help someone understand that a positive mindset is extremely key. It's key for everything, for success, for positive, for health, for fitness, like for success. Like if you're not positive in your mind, you're not going to be positive in your life because all you think about is a negative. And even
Mm-hmm.
when you're tested health-wise with cancer, or when I was going through my health issues of inflamed spleen and permanent brain damage, when I heard about that I had permanent brain damage, it affected my vision and my cognitive ability. It severely beat me down verbally. Like it was hard to accept. But then I realized, okay, I can accept it and then adapt to it by using a positive mindset and just focusing on what makes you happy. And it's called grounding. When you're stressed out and you're just overly stressed, that you just think about one time in your life that made you very happy, and you focus on that one time, and you just completely think about it over and over again. You become mentally grounded again, and you can move forward with your life. And I always tell people that no matter where you go in life, there's going to be stress everywhere. No matter where it is, maybe finances, maybe health, maybe family and friends' finances or their health. And I always talk about counterproductive stress and productive stress, and how you can use counterproductive stress and avoid it completely and just focus on the productive part of it, of use the stress to motivate you and to grow some education on what you're stressed about. Like I was very uneducated, I guess if you will, about brain injury. I didn't understand it until my 15th concussion, and I started researching it more and started building that confidence in regards to concussions and mental illness. And that's mainly where Bodyguard started. So to hear where your story is going and how it went from you having your struggles growing up with with the word you use, being a dork, and constantly moving around, like things happen for a reason. And I now believe that when I
Mm-hmm.
was on my near deathbeds, like I got blood poisoning, I got water intoxication. There was a lot of stuff that happened to me that made me realize, okay, this is happening to make me stronger and giving me more, I don't want to say it, but credibility to help other people from what I went through. This is why I feel that Tennessee and you are going to make a huge difference, because you're using both of your guys' negatives and your struggles to help empower.
Right.
So do you feel that maybe that's the same thing with you?
Exactly. I remember it's so easy to go to a dark place, a negative
Very.
place. I wasted so much of my time feeling like I wanted to prove to. I live in a very wealthy community, very wealthy, and I used to get so annoyed with women who would complain about being single moms. They were divorced, but so they had alimony, and they got to give their kids to their husbands on the weekends, so they got a break from their kids, and they had cars that worked, and they had food in their cupboards, and they had maids, and they got their nails done. And I wasted so much of my time wanting to prove that I had it worse than them, that they didn't have it bad, they didn't have a struggle. And when I look back and say, oh my God, I could have spent those months and days and hours feeling positive about stuff. Why did I focus on trying to prove that I had it so bad? Why didn't I turn it around and say, well, look what I do have. I'm highly creative. I can do eco art with throwaway stuff, and my child is perfectly happy with that. And it it's funny how being in a dark place can just take over every aspect of your life. Then you don't, you walk like you're upset and sad, and your body posture is upset and sad, and your mood and your voice, the tone of your voice, and then people don't think you have confidence. When you kick something in the face that's got you down, and you say, "Can I say fuck on this? Are we allowed to say swear words?"
Sure.
Okay, and you say, "Fuck this shit."
It feels natural.
It's not going to get me down. I'm going to be the victor. When you do that, just by the fact of struggling against the negativity, you begin to feel positive because you think like you've got the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you give the power to a bully. If you take the power away from the bully, you've got the upper hand. Well, it's the same thing with your struggles. Consider your struggles your bully, and say, forget this. I'm not going to. Who cares if my car just broke down on the freeway and I have a car full of groceries and I've got to get home? I'm not going to let it. Are you still there? A whole bunch of people are coming online now. Hi.
Hey, sorry about that. I have no idea what happened there. It just kicked me off.
Okay. It says people want to get on live.
Oh.
You have callers.
I do?
That's what it told me.
Okay, well, that's news.
Well, anyway, I think it says it's telling me to do something.
It's telling you to do something?
Yeah. It says open capture. Capture smile. It says body. Oh, did you take a photo of me?
I guess I did.
Okay. But you're not touching anything.
No, I'm not doing anything at all. Okay, that's strange.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think, like you said, you have to hit rock bottom before you can go up. With anything, with addiction or anything, you have to want to change your life in order to change your life. That want has to be there, that desire. So I think when it gets to the point in our life when we say, fuck it, I've had enough of this bullshit, I'm not putting up with this anymore, that's when we start to win. Mm-hmm. Because we refuse to let this bully of whatever's going on in our life take over.
I can, when I was suicidal in grade 9, I can't remember what year it was. Holy cow, it was so long ago. But in grade 9, then I was suicidal in 2006, and then recently in 2011, I came to the realization that I didn't really want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop.
Right.
However, with me going through my therapy and seeing my psychiatrist and my psychologist and all the therapists I was seeing, they helped me realize that it comes from within. You can't expect the world to help you with your problems and to help you change your mindset, because it just won't happen, because you got to set the tone. You got to show people, okay, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate this no more. I'm going to deal with it. And once you become so negative that, like literally, I had what I call the stub toe philosophy, which is wake up in the morning and the first thing you do when you go to bed is you stub your toe. Immediately it frustrates you, you're in a lot of pain, and your negative mindset kicks in right away. And it's so hard to get over that stub toe. Like, you'll stub your toe and then you'll be negative and get upset and you'll hurt, and you'll walk to the bathroom to brush your teeth and you'll spill your toothpaste all over the place, and it just compounds and compounds and compounds. And I always tell people that when I do my youth coaching program, I help them counteract the stub toe philosophy and to not look at that as a setback, but just say, you know what, stub my toe, deal with it, move on, smile, have a good time. And the world right now is so full of negativity everywhere you go. The news station, music, movies, media, it's everywhere where people are negative. And some, my psychologist friends said that the calendar is actually a huge assistant in people being negative, because it's Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday. Every
Right,
it's the
right,
same routine. Monday to Friday, weekends off. Monday to Friday, weekends off, and that's why I teach youth to find your dreams, your passions, and just chase them. Because
right.
if you don't have anything to focus on, you get lost. So it sounds like your story was your focus was theater, and that's what helped you. With me, it was professional wrestling, it was acting, it was video games, reading, writing, and now public speaking. When I start to get stressed, I realign my focus on Bodyguards or my acting or my book. Like you got to have that focus, and until you find that focus, you get lost, you get shuffled within yourself, and you don't know who you are or who you want to become. And like you said, you felt like you were a dork, but realistically, to be unique in the world these days is truly what it takes to be strong. Because it's so easy to follow someone else. It's so easy to follow the peer pressure. And I always tell kids that you got to make the hard choices in life to succeed, because it's so easy to do drugs. It's so easy to skip school. It's easy to be lazy. It's easy to start drinking and smoking. It's easy to do all these things. The moment you start making the hard choices of, okay, you know what, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to start passing my grades, I'm going to start making hard choices, that's when you build the self-confidence, the awareness, and the strength. And when you had the time in your life, from just hearing you speak, I can tell you had to make a lot of hard choices of not giving in. And it's a sickening reality that we all go through suicidal thoughts in our life at least once. We all have the I'm done. If this is how my life is going to be for the next couple of days or a couple of weeks or a month or a year, why even bother to live? It's until you find that focus, that dream. And that's why with the youth program that I have going, I have the youth share their stories and their passions, off the record. I say, hey, what's your favorite thing doing? They'll say singing or writing or acting or soccer or whatever it is. And I, along my team and I, will focus their complete being on that dream, and we'll help them establish clear goals. And so it's very easy to make mistakes, but it's difficult for some to learn from them and to grow from them. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've never done drugs, or I've never smoked, but I've done mistakes during my concussion period and depression where I saw the darkness, and you don't ever see the truth of darkness until you see how you don't want to be in the darkness. Like I remember a time where I lost my temper and I called 911 on myself because I was scared. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I hurt my ex-wife physically, and I didn't know what was happening. I don't remember exactly what happened. What happened was my emotional stability was very wonky. Some days I'd be good. Some days I'd just lose my temper for the silliest of all things, and I would throw a couch. I'd swear. I'd yell. And that's when I started to wake up. Is when you don't understand the darkness until you see yourself in it, and that's when you realize, holy cow, I don't want to be this person no more.
Mm.
I gotta change. And Bodyguards is we help people because I got the help that I needed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't be here right now with you, because in 2011, the only reason why I didn't commit suicide was because of my son. I started realizing what that would do to him if I did commit suicide, and my family and my friends. But there's people out there who don't have that support. They don't have the family, the friends, and this is why people like yourself and myself and all of our other friends are starting these profitable organizations and nonprofits and community support, because realistically we all need it. And I'm happy you found Tennessee and that she found you, because right now you, like you said, are going through a lot right now with the skin cancer. And I believe I saw a post a while ago in regards to that, and I was like, oh geez. But I knew that you'd be okay because I've been following you, and I'm like, it should be all right. I know she will, because to go through the struggles you went through reminds you of what you're going through now, and how you can beat it. And memories can be rough. Like the memories of your past can sometimes put you back into a depression. But I always tell people that memories are a reminder of the strength that you never knew you had, but now you know you do.
Yeah. So when is your next event with the kids?
What's happening right now is I'm going through a lot of process of getting my passport. I'm planning a USA tour. I'm also in talks with India to plan an India tour, and Mexico. Basically, what I'm doing right now is I'm building, how do I say it, the financials. Because Bodyguards is becoming a non-profit organization, so like you understand what that means is I don't
Yeah,
make the
I
so
haven't done that yet because in California it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars and it takes forever. So
correct. Same here in Canada.
my daughter suggested I go through Texas because Texas is faster, easier, and costs less money.
Oh,
So in fact, I'm trying to get in touch with Bud Collier of I'mBullyFree.org to see how he did it because once I become a 501c3, I can apply for grants, which will cover our
mhm.
travel expenses.
That's correct.
The book is only $10, and people are willing to donate that. $10 is not a lot of money, and nobody makes money off of this. It's all going into the fund to buy the book
Mhm.
for the children at Snowball Express. But I'm looking bigger, and I want to be able to go. I'd like to be able to go to more military bases and camps and establishments so that I can visit with the children whose parents are gone right now, whose parents are deployed, because for them to be able to hold Tennessee and tell her how they're feeling, how scared they are, that they miss their daddy and their mommy, that will help them, and she will be able to help them. And they can see how Tennessee didn't have her kitty cat mommy, and she had to depend on other people to take care of her.
Most
So,
definitely, it's not easy. They say that non-profitable organizations such as Amnesty International, Doctors Without Borders, the reason why they face so much more success than government-supported charities is because when you support a government charity, you can get a tax return. So basically, people look at it as a bank loan. Basically, you pay the government, and then at the end of the year, you get the money back. So there's no real sentiment into the donating. So when I was doing fundraising events for Amnesty International, I started to realize that there was a lot more sentimental attachment to
yes.
nonprofit organizations because we make no money off it. And I made a Facebook rant about it like 3 weeks ago, a month ago. I think you saw it and liked it, where I explained how nonprofits work,
Right,
and
right,
we make $0. Like I make
right.
nothing off my merchandise sales. I make nothing off of all the other products I'm selling, like my book and stuff. All of it goes right to Bodyguards.
It's
But it's
passion
quite a whole
driven.
process. Exactly.
And
It's
everybody involved with Tennessee's book, nobody wanted to do it for any monetary value. It was all passion driven. And that's kind of like it goes that there's that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it's
mhm.
the same thing. It takes a village to help those in need. You have to do it without seeing a dollar sign, or it's not a true gift from the heart.
Well, it's a situation of, let's say you ask me for $20. I say, all right, yeah, yeah, no problem. Here's $20. However, pay me back within this amount of time. There's no genuine support there. But if I said, all right, Victoria, here's $20. Don't worry about paying me back. I want to help you out. And
Right,
and I know that firsthand because when I was in security, we had a girl arrested who was a teenager and she was pregnant, and I banned her from the mall. I did all the stuff that I had to do, but I remember I gave her a $20 bill. I said, here's what I can give you now to help you, and I'll stay close to you somehow, and I'll continue to support you. That's where I found the passion of supporting youth, was actually working security, where I dealt with at-risk youth like daily. So when I actually wrote about it, it's called A Simple Gesture, the story I wrote about it, and how it completed me and made me realize, okay, I don't know the story, I don't know the situation, I don't know how a person got to where they're at now, but what I do know is how I can help. And the sad reality of the life nowadays, and people around you, is they want to know your story first. They want to say, oh, well, you know what, that guy's homeless maybe because of this, or he's homeless because of that. But it's like, realistically, it just shows how arrogant you are, because
hmm,
instead of saying I know why he or she is there, ask them. It's amazing how that one sentence of how can I help you or what's wrong, when you ask someone that,
right.
like, immediately frees them from themselves. They're like, okay, I can vent. And that's another thing that we're trying to focus on in Bodyguards, is helping people share their stories. Because as soon as I announced the autopsy a year ago, I immediately was overwhelmed with people sharing their stories. And the autopsy used to be a Facebook Messenger type ordeal where we just text each other back and forth, and I would edit the work and publish it. However, it was just too much time consumption. It was like the average interview took me about 4 to 5 hours to complete before I was able to publish it. So then I announced the or the radio version, sorry, on the internet. I got a great response, and I realized I don't want to talk to someone on the phone. I want to see them. I want to actually be able to connect with them on a level that you can on, during written interviews or radio. So that's when I brought the video version. And like I said on Facebook quite a lot, my booking is going crazy right now because all I'm doing is saying, if you have a story that you need to share or want to share, please share it.
Right.
The sole intent is inspiration.
It's important too because you'll never know what young man or young woman may have the same kind of struggle you're having, and they may say, "Well, okay, they did it, I can do it."
Mm-hmm.
No, but we're coming up on 2:07.
Which is 3:07 here.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
I have to call a doctor. Yesterday, a friend of ours, they were infested with fleas from deer in their yard, and they had to have their house bombed. So they brought their cats to my house to store for the day, or to board for the day. And these are wonderful friends. They've donated to Tennessee's book, and they've donated when I collect money for building the homes for the men and women that come back with one limb left from the war, and through the Gary Sinise Foundation, they will donate too, and I bring those donations down. But anyway, these people brought their cats over, and at the end of the day, it was one of those days where everything was going on. Everything. I had construction people in the apartment.
This was yesterday.
It was yesterday. well, so they picked the cats up, and one of the cats went wild and completely attacked my arm and hand, and it's warm and swollen here, which means an infection is setting in. When a cat bites you, you have to clean it quickly and efficiently, but it's getting hot and it's all swollen and red, so I need to go get on antibiotics. So I'm going to have to go to the doctor soon. That was where that long story went. I know that's
not a problem.
An actor tends to tell stories.
Sorry?
Long stories. They stretch things out.
Yeah, my girlfriend Claudia says I'm very suspect of that, and I'm very guilty where I'll tell a story that should, only last maybe a sentence or two, but being I love storytelling, I prolong it to like maybe 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well, we like to embellish things. That's the nature of being an actor.
That's correct.
So anyways.
So with that being said, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you're doing and providing an outlet for the youth. Mm-hmm. Definitely, if they want to express themselves with writing, with music, with theater, with art, definitely promote that. There's something powerful in the arts that really heal the savage beast. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I found my peace in writing and acting so much. So thank you for sharing your story. And we, on behalf of myself, the viewers and bodyguards, we hope that this skin cancer will go away quickly. It's going to go away inevitably because you're going to destroy it. But hopefully it will go quicker.
Yes, so I can get back on screen again.
Exactly.
Thank you, too, and have a great day. And do you end this, or do I push a button?
You're okay. You just say have a good night, and then I take care of it from here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you.